Tell me something. What if the soul you think you ended wasn't harmed at all? What if it was the one guiding the entire event? What if the moment you've replayed in your mind wasn't a mistake, but the completion of a contract your conscious mind has forgotten? Be honest with yourself. Have you ever felt the presence of a soul that never made it into this world, yet somehow never left you? I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to speak to the part of you that already knows. Abortion does not always break destiny. In many cases, it fulfills it. In the unseen world, there is no blame, no punishment, only timing, alignment, and soul choreography. And whether you've realized it or not, you've been living inside a contract far older than this lifetime. Let's lift this conversation out of morality, fear, or judgment and bring it into the realm where Edgar Cayce always began, the cosmic library of incarnation. Souls don't simply enter a body. They negotiate, agree, and align long before conception ever occurs. In that pre-existent space, there are contracts, agreements made in silence, timelines chosen with precision. And sometimes, a soul chooses to come through only briefly, not to live a full life, but to create a karmic divergence, a turning point, a moment of awakening or redirection for another soul in the contract. What you call abortion may actually be a soul's early withdrawal, an intentional step out of embodiment because its purpose was completed before the physical form ever matured. Cayce described this as timelines bending, where no soul is punished, none is blamed, and all are participating in a learning experience beyond human morality. When seen through this lens, abortion is not failure. It is not sin. It is not cosmic debt waiting to be paid. It is a shift in the soul's agreed-upon path, one that often serves both souls more deeply than a full incarnation would have. And as you feel into this, you may notice something, a quiet recognition, a sense that you already knew this, because your soul did. Cayce spoke about these moments with a clarity that still startles people today. And in all my reading of his work, thousands of pages of trance readings, case studies, and interpretations, one theme kept repeating. Incarnation is never an accident. It's a spiritual negotiation. Cayce describes souls choosing their parents long before conception, aligning with families, bodies, and timelines for reasons the human mind can barely translate. He also revealed that some souls approach the doorway of life but never fully enter. Souls who only need a brief connection to complete a karmic checkpoint, deliver a lesson, or redirect the path of those they're intertwined with. And throughout his readings, he emphasized that what we call loss is often a pre-agreed pause in incarnation, not a punishment, not a moral debt. I'm not giving you doctrine. I'm sharing the understanding I formed after studying Cayce's work for years. Every entry and exit is chosen, timed, and purposeful. And when you really let that in, something begins to soften inside you, because you realize this was never about blame. It was always about alignment, intention, and soul memory, And your soul remembers far more than your mind has ever allowed. What I've learned from reading Cayce's work is that these moments, the ones wrapped in silence, grief, and questions we're afraid to ask aloud, are never random. And the people I've met, the stories I've been trusted with, they echo the same pattern he described over and over. There was a woman who carried a quiet guilt for years. She never told anyone, not fully. She just lived with the feeling that she had done something irreversible. But when she finally opened up, the energy around her story shifted. Through the lens of Cayce's teachings, she began to see that the soul connected to her was never meant to incarnate fully. It came close, touched her life for a moment, and withdrew. Not because she ended anything, but because the contract between them had always been brief. When she realized she didn't take a life, but honored a soul that needed only a moment with her, the guilt dissolved. And the same is true for you. Then there was a man who lost a pregnancy with his partner and spiraled into confusion he didn't know how to articulate. He blamed himself, blamed fate, blamed the universe for taking something before it arrived. But when he explored the possibility that this soul belonged to his soul group, a consciousness intertwined with his across lifetimes, something opened in him. Cayce often said soul groups orchestrate timing, and some souls appear only long enough to redirect a life. This soul didn't come to stay, it came to awaken him. And when he understood that, the loss became guidance, not punishment. And the same is true for you. And then there was the woman who felt a presence after her abortion. Not frightening, not dark, just there. She couldn't explain it, and for years she feared it meant she had disrupted something sacred. But when she learned how Cayce described these lingering presences, not hauntings, but souls offering closure, she finally breathed again. That presence wasn't asking for anything, it was completing the contract. Once she acknowledged it, the presence faded, leaving only peace. And the same is true for you. Every one of these stories mirrors the quiet questions you've carried inside yourself, the ones you've never spoken aloud. Have you ever felt guilt for something your soul may have agreed to long before you were born? Have you ever sensed the presence you couldn't explain, a whisper of a life that almost entered yours? Have you wondered why some souls choose such short, incomplete lifelines, and why their absence leaves such a profound imprint? What Cayce taught and what these stories reveal is that your soul remembers these contracts even when your mind does not. Every moment of connection, every loss, every almost life has meaning woven into it. And when you start to feel that truth rising inside you, something shifts, because you realize this was never chaos, it was choreography. And when you start to see your own story through this wider lens, the chaos begins to form a pattern, one that Cayce hinted at repeatedly in his readings, and one that becomes clearer the more you sit with it. From what I've understood through studying his work, there are 3 karmic layers present in every incarnation that begins and ends early, including abortion. The first is the soul's intent, the question of whether a soul came to stay or simply to touch the physical world for a moment before returning. Some souls only need a spark of connection, a doorway, a brush with embodiment. The second is the parent's contract, the lessons tied to compassion, timing, boundaries, grief, courage, or healing. Souls choose parents long before conception, and sometimes the contract is about a moment, not a lifetime. And the third is the shared karmic intersection, not punishment, but curriculum. Two souls meeting at a crossroads to create change in each other's trajectory. This is where soul groups come in, where timelines diverge or collapse, where some incarnations pause and later return, sometimes even to the same family. When you see karmic balance not as penalty but as understanding, the entire story shifts. What once felt like a wound becomes a point of alignment, a moment of profound spiritual symmetry. And it's in that symmetry that the deepest truth begins to rise. The truth Cayce echoed again and again in ways that were gentle, almost whispered. The truth that breaks the spell of guilt, fear, and confusion. No one pays the price. There is no cosmic punishment waiting beyond these moments. Abortion is not a karmic crime. It is a karmic conversation, a meeting between souls who knew exactly what they were doing long before the physical world was involved. Souls choose their entry and exit with precision, compassion, and consent. They do not arrive by accident, and they do not leave by force. Karma is not a sentence. It is a symmetry, a balancing of experience, intention, and growth. And when you understand that nothing in the soul's realm is ever lost, a final truth settles over everything like light breaking through a closed room. Nothing real can be taken. Nothing eternal can be harmed. If this insight softens something inside you, acknowledge it with a like. Not for the algorithm, but as a signal to your own soul. Share this with someone quietly carrying guilt, someone who needs to know that their experience is part of a cosmic conversation, not a sentence. Each interaction becomes a ritual, a gentle affirmation that what we've explored here, the contracts, the intentions, the soul's wisdom, is not just theory, but a living, breathing part of your awakening. You were never meant to carry guilt alone. Every soul has guidance, even in moments that feel brief, incomplete, or tragic. No soul is ever abandoned. No life path is ever wasted. Every encounter, every crossing of timelines, every early departure is part of a larger choreography your soul understood long before your mind could. What matters is not the ending of a life, but the awakening of a heart. Yours, theirs, and those touched by the unseen threads that connect us all. This is the Cayce Chronicles, where the unseen becomes remembered.